college is great. You're in a cool spot. You're with a bunch of people your age, but there's also a whole world outside your school that's literally right out your driveway that can help you out too. Probably more because they're already in the field.
Best podcast. Tap in. That's it. Subscribe.
All right, this is the STU Street podcast, episode 14. I am Sam Morra.
And I am Arkash Jain.
And today we are sitting down with Joe Hale. Joe is a freelance commercial photographer based in New York City. While Joe photographs all type of events, his core specialty has been in athletics. Beginning as a varsity cross-country athlete at Manhattan College, Joe ended his participation after his first year and a half to focus on his photography. Since that time, Joe has worked with a plethora of established companies such as Nike, Under Armour, Whoop, and Bandit Running, as well as many NCAA athletes and even influencers such as Gary Vee and Bryson. Today, Joe continues to build his portfolio and hone his craft through his work on his own brand, JKH Photo. Joe, thanks and welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
So I kind of want to bring it back to your background a little bit. I know your roots in your athletic work come from your time as a runner, but where did your passion for photography stem from? And what kind of introduced you to what's now your job?
I think it all started in Cortlandt Park, where I used to live across the street from Manhattan. I went to Niskuna High School, same as Sam. And I was always on the cross country team. All my friends were on the cross country team. But one of my friends, Andrew, he graduated 3 years before me, and he went to Siena College, so still local. But we'd see him still hang out a bunch. But he had a race at Van Cortlandt. It was the regional meet, and we went down to watch. And he gave me his camera and was like, "Hey, if you want to try and take some photos of me," and that was the first time I'd ever held like a decently nice camera. I always had like GoPros as a kid, but that was the first time I ever used like a real DSLR, and I just really liked it. I ran around all day, had a ton of fun. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, I want to do this. And then went back. That was in the fall of junior year of high school, probably. And my friend was in like the photography class at high school, and I'd always go and just take his camera. And eventually I got able to save up for my own, and I'd kind of just take it, and I would do just like bring it to practice, bring it to local races, take photos of friends, all that type of stuff. So it was a good way to meet people, I found, and I still is. Like, that's like my favorite thing about it, is I meet all the people that I do. It was just fun to take photos, and Instagram was a thing, starting to be more and more popular. So it was fun to kind of post one there.
So it seems like you kind of had a natural progression to it. And once you got to college, when did you feel the transition kind of happen where it went from being just a hobby to something you spent the majority of your time on outside of just athletics?
Probably right away. Like, I've never been a huge school guy. Like, I definitely wanted to live in New York City because I knew of the possibilities and the cool stuff I could do in New York rather than sitting in classes. So I ended up at Manhattan College, and I pretty much right away got a job at the Armory as an assistant photographer. So just kind of like helping them out wherever they needed, taking photos of random events and all sorts of stuff. And the Armory, it's like host to a bunch of local high school meets, but it also is home to the Milrose Games, which is one of like the most prominent meets in the US. It's on NBC every winter. Olympians come, world champions, like some of the best athletes in the world. And so just like being around that environment, I've met a bunch of people. College running kind of sucked, honestly, for me at least. I was hurt a lot, didn't really have a great time on the team. Didn't necessarily agree with my coach on a lot of things. So, and that's like, while I was hurt, I was just spending all my time at the Armory. And yeah, eventually I was just like, okay, I can make money at this. I'm doing cooler stuff. Like, I'm meeting way cooler people. Like, I'm just going to quit the running thing and do photography full time. So that happened the fall of my sophomore year.
So you said that obviously you had issues with your coach, and you were always sort of interested in photography coming into college. But what made you pursue photography full time? Like, because obviously it's not like a traditional job, like a 9-to-5 job that a lot of people have, and there's a lot of risks involved. So what was your thought process when you switched to photography full time?
Yeah, I don't think it was necessarily that I was like right away, I'm going to do this full time. I think it was just a fun hobby. And then I started to get opportunities that I was like, oh, I could do this more. I'm also like I've never done school. I'm just not really a 9-to-5 guy. Like, I just could never do that lifestyle, like making my own schedule, doing my own things. And I've always been a natural hustler. Like I've always in high school, I had a clothing brand with my friends called Dad Frat, and we just like be idiots and try and sell it to as many people as we could, and just like sell shirts however we could. So I've always kind of had that like entrepreneurial mindset, and I like not really. I was an advertising major, but didn't necessarily know if I wanted to do that. It was that I bet on myself and figure out what I want to do. Um, so like as I started working at the Army more, meeting more people, I didn't get paid for like 3 years what I was doing. I just like really enjoyed doing it, and the people I met were cool. So and then I started to make money. I was like, oh wait, like I could actually do this as a job. And then yeah, it was still like kind of chump change. I wasn't really making anything that could turn into a full-time thing until probably 2 years ago. But I would say like it was a natural progression into a career until I just kept building and building and building. And then I'd look at it and be like, oh, like I made this much, like I could actually do this full time and not have to have another job.
And it seems like there must have been a big learning curve to start. And how did you kind of combat that and hone your craft at the beginning? And how has your kind of process developed over the past few years?
Yeah, so I think no matter how good or bad you are, when you start taking photos, they're gonna suck, like regardless. And like the biggest thing is just getting your reps in. So that's what the Armory did for me. It was just a place where every weekend I was a loser freshman year of college. I didn't go out at all. I didn't really have that many friends at all, which was pretty weird for me, I guess. But I didn't realize in the moment because in high school I was like, not that I was popular, but I was just like friends with a lot of kids. I had a bunch of homies, and so in college when I had my friends on the team, but I totally missed like the going out bar scene. And because of that, I just never naturally met a bunch of people in my school. So when I started working, it was like, oh, I have friends at work that I can hang out with every weekend. Um, and through that, I just kept showing up, and like that's the most important thing: getting your reps, taking photos week after week after week. So every Saturday and Sunday, I'd spend like 20 hours basically at the Armory, editing, shooting, just learning about like different marketing principles and stuff. And eventually you just like learn what works and what doesn't. Naturally your camera gear, you buy new nicer stuff that makes it easier to take better photos, can do better stuff in low light, can take more photos in a shorter period of time, like all that sort of stuff. So I think it was just, once again, kind of just like practice makes perfect, learning what works. And yeah, and there's also, what's really cool about running is there's like, when I started, there were probably like 10 running photographers. That's not really a thing, but now there's just so many. There's a really cool community of people that are willing to help each other. Like if I have a question about pricing something or like how shooting this, like I can reach out to a bunch of people and they'll help me. So that community definitely helped also.
And it seems like you talked about the things you had to sacrifice to get to where you are today. The time you're spending doing the traditional partying and bar scenes that people do in college, and even monetarily early on where you were putting hours and hours and hours in without getting much return. So what were your intrinsic kind of motivators that kept pushing you forward? Was it the art itself? Was it the community? Or was it a combination of a few things?
Probably the community. Like I've never been a guy where it's like, oh my God, I love art. Like that's not really my thing. Like I enjoy taking photos, and it's more the people that come with it. Like if I take a cool shot, that's awesome. But it's more of like a vehicle for me to meet people and go and travel and do cool things and have cool experiences. So like I obviously like taking good photos and I strive to, but it's never been like, oh my God, I need to create the perfect photo that captures certain principles. It's more just like a thing that I do that's like fun along the way to meet people. So definitely the community. Like even in high school, like I was always the kid that was like trying to make friends with kids on the other teams. And like in college, same thing. I was always the kid trying to make friends with kids in the conference. And that definitely carried over in Armory. Like I'd make friends there, people coming in every other week.
So you always obviously mentioned the community. And you said that you're not super big into arts, but you just liked doing what you were doing day in, day out. And I know you mentioned that you were always like a hustler, you were not super into like studies, Joe. So obviously now you're on your own company, right? Which is JKH Photo. So honestly, being an entrepreneur is super hard. And how do you think, I mean, it requires a lot of hustling, a lot of, connections. So do you think that just your nature towards, you're more inclined towards making connections, hustling. How do you think that has helped you become a better entrepreneur?
I mean, I think it's everything. Like I kind of didn't realize that not everyone has like that inner like kind of drive until like 2 years ago. I was like, wait, you guys just like don't think like this. Like, I think my biggest skill that I have in doing all this stuff is just like a pretty solid sight with foresight. Like if I go somewhere, like I know when I'm going somewhere, I'm like, oh, this person's gonna be there. I'm gonna talk to them and I'm gonna explain to them what I do. And because of that, this is gonna happen. I'm gonna like either like get into their event or like just meet them and get a follow back on Instagram so they can see what I'm up to and do more work and stuff like that. And it wasn't until like 2 years ago I was like, oh, I guess not everyone thinks like that. Not everyone is like so like forward thinking and driven, I guess. So that was like kind of a strange thing when I realized like, oh, I guess this is like what I just thought is like naturally my thought progression, how people operate is like not a normal thing. And I guess I have the entrepreneurial mindset that not everyone has. But I think like what you were saying, how much does it contribute? I think it's everything. Like 90% of the jobs I get is because I email them first. I get people emailing me every once in a while, but like just about everything I do, my 9 to 5 isn't spent in an office. It's spent like on LinkedIn, on Instagram, like just like some people say I have a social media addiction. I say it's business. Like I go through people's profiles on Instagram, say, oh, really cool stuff. Like let's go get coffee in New York City. Best thing about being in New York City, I can go get coffee with anyone whenever. Like the amount of times I'll just reach out to people and say, oh, you do really dope shit. Let's hang out. And we go get a coffee downtown. Like, and we just talk and meet. And it's like just doing that all the time is like my favorite thing.
A lot of students, even especially within our business school here, are kind of pressured to make artificial connections, but it seems like you're a big proponent of actually like developing a network with people and understanding who the people are. And that's, as you talked about, one of your big drivers is the actual community. So what would your advice be to people trying to develop a network, and still balance out the kind of cold email, cold LinkedIn messages with the actual connection?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, like a lot of it is just I've gotten lucky. Like some of my best friends that live in Oregon, like they also share the same mindset. So that's the new generation track and field thing. We work together, and it's like it's great because they share the same hustle that I do. But a lot of it is just kind of like I spend a lot of time on Instagram, on Twitter. Like, luckily, that's like a home base for photographers. Like every photographer has an Instagram, and like I'll just go through and be like, "Yo, your stuff's dope. Like, we'd love to link up." And it's just like that. And that's how I've started so many friendships. But a lot of it is cold emailing too. Like, you're gonna do that, but I know for every 10 emails I send out, I'm only gonna get 2 replies. But I still send out 100, knowing I'm gonna get 20 back if I'm lucky. Like stuff like that.
Honestly, I was literally about to ask the same question that Sam asked, but both of us used to be in the finance club, and they used to always teach us that, hey, if you want to go into investment banking, consulting, or you want to get a big shot job, you have to like send hundreds and hundreds of cold emails. And I feel like a lot of people just they got burnt out because of the rejection, and I think it stemmed from the fact that they were not passionate about what they were doing. They were just mindlessly, just sending out emails. So how important do you think it is to just be passionate and being surrounded by the correct people? Because you said that a lot of your friends from Oregon, that track mindset of like hustling, that
Yeah,
helped
yeah.
you. So how important is it to be passionate about what you do so that, the process of networking becomes easy?
I think that once again, it's kind of everything. Like I don't think I do a job. It's just like fun activity. Like there's this funny saying that my friends and I from college have. It's like doing your hobbies for a living. Like that's what I do. I wake up and I do the stuff I do, even if I wasn't getting paid for it. I just happen to I've found a way to get paid for it. So like I don't get necessarily really burnt out or tired. Like, yeah, if I shoot for 10 days in a row, I'll be tired and put down my camera for a little while. But like I lived in Oregon this year there was a big track and field competition. I was just out there before and the lead up and right after. And I probably didn't have a day off between editing, shooting, ideating, and meetings and stuff from the beginning of May to the end of August. And I like was stoked the whole time because I like doing it. If I wasn't getting paid for it, I'd still be doing it. It's just I found a way, luckily, to pay for it, which I'm very fortunate for. But it's still like my favorite hobbies and stuff. So
You talked about Oregon a couple of times now, so I want to dive into that a little bit. So on top of your various freelancing gigs, you also work as the in-house photographer for New Gen Track and Field. As you said, New Gen's located in Oregon, which is all the way across as far as it could be from you in New York City. But one of their main goals is to shrink the distance between the sport's top athletes and those who follow them. What would you say that means to you, and how have you sought to achieve that goal?
Yeah, I mean, the reason I like New Gen so much is because it was me in high school. Like in high school, I wanted to be a pro runner. I realized pretty quick on. I feel like most kids want to be in the MLB, NBA. Like I was like, oh, like skinny dude wearing short shorts, running full flat in the mile. Like that's what I want to do. But I realized like I was pretty realistic. I was good. Like I ran D1 for a year and a half. I was like a decent runner on the New York State scale, but I knew I wasn't going to. So that's like where the media stuff comes in, and that's why like my friend Ben, I met him kind of the same thing. This is like kind of what I was talking about. I met him in 2016 via Twitter. He was doing this thing called Mountain Dew Mile in California. It's where you run a lap on a track and chug a Mountain Dew. And I was doing Chocolate Milk Mile in New York. And I DM'd him. I was like, bro, this is sick. Like, we were geeking over our beverage miles. Like, this is dope. Would love to connect. And we just been like internet friends. And then during COVID, I was in Colorado working as having my internship, and he was out there too. So we got to like meet in person, and now he's one of my best friends. Like we do a ton of projects together. And New Gen's kind of blossomed from just his YouTube channel into a much bigger brand. But that's like why I resonate with it so much. It's kids like me that like didn't have something like that when I was in high school that now have like a really cool, like we do a print magazine. Like now there's a print magazine that kids can look to and read about runners and inside stories on their personalities that like doesn't exist. So it's also fun to make something like out of nothing, which I really enjoy.
It seems like you've done a good job at bridging the gap between your online network and actually creating what's in person. I know you travel a lot, although you're based in New York City. You spent time professionally in Boulder, recently in Chicago for the marathon, and a lot of time with New Gen in Oregon as well. Do you see traveling as an energizer for your work? And how have these experiences kind of changed the way you seek to capture individual athletes in your work?
Um, I don't know if an energizer. It's definitely the fun part. Like when people are paying you to go wherever you're in the country, in the world, it's like pretty sweet. And like I like traveling, but it does start to get old when you're on the road for the fourth time in 4 weeks. Like this next 2 weeks are actually gonna be really busy. So I have New York City Marathon, and then right after that, I'm going to Colorado for 4 days. I come back for a day, and then I go to South Dakota for a few days. I come back for 2 days, and I go to Texas. So it's gonna be a busy couple stretch, but it's the fun part. It's like, well, I'm 22, I can do this when I have a family. Like, I'm not gonna want to, or will I probably be able to? So it's good right now. It's fun. I'm like meeting all types of people. It's where I like meet majority of the people is at these events. So I'll go. Usually it's for a race, so I'll travel to where the race is, shoot the athletes that I need to, and then it's just fun after that. Like there's always an after party or social gathering where I go and I hang out with people, whether it's like brand people, just other people in the community, other photographers. So that's where I make the most of my connections. I feel like if it's not on Instagram, and yeah, I mean, I live in New York. I do like 90% of my work somewhere else. I'm still waiting for that to pay off, I guess. But it's New York, I feel like is good for the meetings. Like I meet a ton of people here, but the work's always elsewhere. But it's fine.
As you said, you can go grab a coffee with anyone in New York, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So you said that obviously traveling sometimes it takes a toll on you, right? You're traveling like you have a busy schedule coming up, right? 2 weeks, 4 days in Colorado, and like maybe I'm messing it up, but obviously the after parties might be nice and someone's paying for your trip, but obviously with this extensive travel and continuously like making connections and expanding your client base, do you feel like there's times where you have like put too much on your plate and you're feeling overwhelmed?
Yes, but like I said earlier, like I don't view it as a job. So it's like, yeah, I'm really busy sometimes, but it's like it's fun busy. I'm not like I don't get I'm very lucky to like not get stressed. Like if I'm stressed, it means like I'm gonna have a lot of fun over the next like 3 weeks because it's like going to cool events, meeting cool people, probably hopping on a couple flights. Like I don't worry. I'm not worrying about like, is my boss going to yell at me because, and like, am I going to get this done? Because I like doing it, one, and I am my own boss. So like, as long as I do the stuff that I need to take care of, I'm not going to have a problem. So like, yes, I do get work worked down and bogged down and busy, but it's like I enjoy it and I do it to myself. So I'm really the one at fault for that, I guess. If I overbook myself, it's like, oh, you're an idiot. Like, don't do that next time. But usually it's fun. Like New York City Marathon, that's this weekend. And it's probably my busiest weekend of the year between actually working and then every brand does like pop-ups and events and just seeing all my friends in town. So I'm gonna be going from probably 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. or later, like every day from Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. But it's fun. So I like doing it.
It seems like you have a lot of kind of preparation that goes into things to plan out your weeks and orchestrate them properly, because I mean you're traveling all week. It's probably difficult to just do it on the fly. What kind of role does preparation and planning play into running your business and kind of running everything in your life?
Yeah, I mean, luckily I don't really shoot Monday through Friday. And so it's a lot of Monday through Fridays, me like hanging out. I definitely don't work 40 hours a week, but my Monday through Friday is like surfing Instagram, reaching out to people, going on LinkedIn, seeing what people are up to, kind of sharing my work. I feel like I kind of use LinkedIn different than most people. Most people are posting like, I need a job, please help me find a job. I created my network in a way where it's all marketing people, art producers, like people from high school that like I connected with 4 years ago. But it's people that can hire me. So like Instagram's super diluted, super bogged down. Everyone has an Instagram. Not many people are posting their photo work on Instagram. And I know it's a network where only the people that can hire me can see. So it's kind of narrowed down quite a bit. So that's what I'm doing during the week. And a lot of it's just planning, surfing calendars, see what's going on, firing off emails to say, oh, this is coming up. You guys need photos for this. Or, oh, looks like it's gonna be really sick. We'd love to come and check it out. And a lot of it's just like relationship management, like hitting up people, trying to get, like I said, coffee meetings and just saying like, hey, I hope you're doing well. Like, keep up the good work. This is looking sick. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily, oh, can I do photos? It's just like, oh, this brand dropped a cool project. Oh, that's really cool. Like, keep up the good work. You guys are crushing it.
Honestly, this is the season to see people make LinkedIn posts about internships. I don't know, like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
Your
so
winter break
annoying.
and summer break. It's
I
like,
know, right?
hey,
I know.
I am a talented young individual. Like, I'm just posting like photos,
Yeah,
which are like, I
it's
guess
like
is a
it's the
nice
same
speed breakup.
paragraph. It's the
Mhm.
same paragraph all the time. Like, I want to thank yada yada yada. Super grateful to have this internship. My LinkedIn's become like Instagram nowadays. But you mentioned a super important thing that you have a close network of people who you think like they're in marketing, advertising, people who can hire you. So obviously, we keep going back to like how important networking is and how important it is to make connections, and it just comes naturally to you, Joe. So like someone who's listening, who's also interested in, building their network and meeting interesting people, but it's hard for them to, a lot of things do not come naturally, so hard for them to probably maintain those connections. Let's say you meet someone, how do you nurture that relationship so that, it's not like completely materialistic. It's like, I'm giving you something, you're giving me something. It's quid pro quo. Both of you benefit and it's more natural. How do you do that?
Especially because
Yeah.
you said initially, sometimes you don't even ask about photos, you just say you're interested in their work.
I think a lot of it, I mean, the creative field, I bet, is definitely different than finance and stricter, tighter business. But a lot of it's just like they're cool people. Like they're either in cool circles and have cool friends. They make cool shit. They have their own brand that's really sick. Like it's easy for me because I like it's stuff I'm interested in. I'm interested in fashion. I'm interested in sports. I'm interested in like rap and music culture, like streetwear, stuff like that. So a lot of my connections is just like me genuinely wanting to be friends with the person. Like, but if I'm like, say I'm in like you guys are based in Boston, like Boston or BU is definitely like a definitely way bigger network than Manhattan College, but I really didn't use my Manhattan College network at all. I went straight to that surrounding places. If I was in Boston, I'd go to people at the Red Sox and say, "Hey, I'm this photographer. Would love to like meet and learn more about what you're doing." Hey, concept store in Boston, you're a really sick streetwear and sneaker shop. Would love to learn more about what you guys are doing and like just see what you guys do in your day to day. and just like learning the team members, I think, and meeting. Obviously in the creative industry, it's a bit more casual and easier, I feel like, probably than in business, where you can't just go up to some random guy at like JP Morgan and be like, hey, love the work that you do. He's gonna be like, what are you talking about? Like, I literally just type in a spreadsheet for a living. But in the creative industry, I feel like it's more personable, a little more casual, so I'm able to do that.
A lot of these traits that you've kind of cultivated for yourself and that are just part of who you are have led you to early success in your career. You've obviously accomplished a great deal, including publications in Sports Illustrated and the Washington Post. You've worked with high-profile athletes and corporations, and even have your own article written about you in Athletic Magazine. Given this, what do those achievements mean to you, and how does that feeling compare to the intrinsic value you gain from your work?
It's cool, but like it's like it's just a fun benefit to it. Like I guess it's a vehicle that allows me to get a little further in my career, but like I'm not hung up because I got an article in Athletic Magazine. I can care less about that, honestly. Like it's fun that I can have a little thing on my website that said someone wrote about me and cares enough about me to write about that. And like I'm grateful that they thought I was cool enough to write about. But like at the end of the day, I'm just trying to meet more people, do more cool stuff, and go to cooler places. Like I'm not really that hung up on, oh, I need to get in a certain brands. Like I obviously want to shoot for certain brands, but I'm not like hung up on, oh my God, I need to be in People magazine. Like the client list isn't really like the goal of mine, but it's just a cool thing along the way. Like obviously it'd be sick to shoot like LeBron James for Nike, but like that's not really what I'm not hung up on that. Like if I ever get the chance to do that, and like sure, I think I can, I'll be like, oh, this is really cool and celebrate it. But I'm not hung up on. It's more of like what people say. It's like the real reward is the journey along the way, not the destination. Like I'm having fun in the moment, doing what I'm doing, going to the place I'm going, making cool friends, like all over the country and world. And the results are kind of just a byproduct of that.
Honestly, I think that's the perfect mindset to have, Joe, because a lot of us, like, I think it happens that, we get rejected in internships, or, we get like placed in a box where we have to do something. And then, as you said, it's the journey that matters, not the end
For
result.
sure.
So we just get hung up on, oh my God, I did not get the perfect internship, or I didn't get into my perfect grad school. But they don't appreciate the journey, the hardships and the struggle. So I think that really matters. And just having fun, just doing what you like. And as you mentioned before, you talk to people because you think they might be cool to talk to. I bought my shoes from Concepts, by the way. I don't think you can see them, but I think that's the perfect message to give to young people, that always do something that you're passionate about, and rejection is just a part of life, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
Sam.
speaking on rejection, I think it's like also partially just because I'm like kind of an idiot. Like I will willingly type out 150 emails knowing I'm like wasting my time and like procrastinating something else just to like for the world championships this year. I went on it was the world championships in track and field, and I went on the World Athletics website, which is like the global head. And I found every federation's email, and I sent an email to every single federation I could saying, hey, I'll be in Oregon. Would love to take photos for you. It was like 150 emails. I got 2 back. Like, and I knew that was going to happen, but I got in on one of those 2. And I was the Portugal team photographer for Worlds. But that was because I knew I was going to get rejected. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, I want to go to Worlds that badly. So I'm going to type out 100. I didn't actually type out 150. I copied and pasted the same email, but and changed the name. But like, that's the type of stuff where it's like, I'm like kind of an idiot when it comes to that, and like mind numbing enough to like do that for it, which definitely takes a certain type of person. If
Lord knows
you're
I've
having a
done so
lot.
many times. I've done that so many times with so many companies.
Yeah.
Oh, it seems like a lot of people, though, as Cash mentioned earlier, are scared of that rejection, even if it's over LinkedIn or if it's over email. Was that a skill you had to build up, or was that kind of
Not
just where
really.
you were at?
I mean, in person it's definitely more intimidating, but what's the worst they're gonna do is say no in a DM? Like, oh well, then you move on to the next one. And like if you do cool enough stuff, like the way I see it is like, oh, they'll hit me back next time. Like if they're doing something cool and like in New York and they need someone, like hopefully they'll hit me back. If I didn't reach out, then they would never even known that I existed. But because I reached out, I'm in their network now. They could like remember me if they're like, oh, that's happened a bunch actually. Like, oh, sorry, we don't need you this time. But a year later, 6 months later, I'll get an email. Hey Joe, we're in New York. Would love to link up. Could use you for a project. It's like, and if I never reached out in the first place, never would have happened.
It's actually interesting you say that because our last guest that we had on, we had an organizational behavior psychologist, and he was talking about the importance of helping others initially, especially when you enter a new field or a new job, because later on that sticks in their mind and they'll repay that favor. But
Yeah.
also acting out of a genuine nature and curiosity for the work that you're doing. So that brings me to a question more focused to young adults and undergraduates who might not be able to find what you've found. One thing we're trying to limit is the trend amongst undergraduate students to kind of define success in an objective and materialistic way. We believe that success you need to define for yourself and follow the path that is truly right for you. You were able to manage the best of both worlds for yourself as you found a field that aligned your passions with your skill set. What would your advice be to those undergraduates or young adults to be able to find their own path and be willing to take that risk and follow where their heart lies?
Yeah, I mean, parents probably hate me for my advice, but I'd say like don't pay attention, not pay attention, but don't try that hard in school. Like you're in Boston, it's a big city with a lot going on. Go out and explore, go find stuff, walk around neighborhoods, find stuff that you like. Like that's what I did in New York. One day I walked around the perimeter of Manhattan 35 miles because I was once again an idiot to do that and bored enough to do that. Like, and I like doing stupid stuff like that. Like go walk around, explore, and like you'll find actually stuff that interests you. I know people who can sit at books all day. If I sit at a book and try studying for like 10 minutes, I get bored and I'm like, all right, I'm done for the day. Like I need to be out meeting people doing cool stuff. So that's the same thing I tell people. Like college is great. You're in a cool spot. You're with a bunch of people your age, but there's also a whole world outside your school that's literally right out your driveway that can help you out too. Probably more because they're already in the field. Even BU people, like if I was in your case, I'd go on the BU LinkedIn page and look up the alumni field and look at people at companies I want to work for, and just like if you're in a marketing position and there's someone that works at the Red Sox, I'd shoot them a message and say, hey, I'm a fellow Terrier. I'm interested in sports and marketing. Would love to catch coffee sometime and just hear more about what you do. And just even doing that, it's like you're expanding your network. You're meeting people in the future. If kind of like what I was just saying, if they're like, oh, the Bruins are hiring, hey, and they're like, all these people are friends. The world's not that small. If you're in the same industry, chances are you know a couple other people in it. Hey, the Bruins are hiring. Oh, no way. I actually got coffee with this fellow Terrier freshman like a year ago. I wonder if they're interested in the position or the internship. Like just doing stuff like that, like expands your network. You meet cool people doing cool things. And yeah, it's just like a good way to go about exploring, using college not only on campus, but off campus, like maximizing that as well. I think that's a part that people don't like kind of sleep on. It's like the off-campus possibilities when you're in a big city and you're not limited to what your professors and clubs are saying.
I think I feel like you took the words right out of my mouth because it happened to me so many times that I went into a conversation for a completely different reason, and I was just interested in their work, and they'd offer me opportunities, just be like, hey, you seem like a super interesting guy. Would you like to come work for us? I think that happened to me. I was telling Sam about it a few weeks ago at a startup. So I think, just leveraging your network, not just on campus, but outside of campus. It's super important just going out. So I don't think parents would be mad at you for that advice. I completely endorse it. I tell all students.
My parents don't. But like also in today's world, like whatever your interest is, you can build a business around it. Like if you go on and there's probably a business in Boston about it. Like if you're interested in fashion, easy. There's brands based on anything. If you're interested in like even they're not stupid stuff, but like even like city bike riding to deliver like food. Like if you have a passion for like exercise and urban active. Like you can build a bit with TikTok, you can literally post a video and make a career off it. Like, so there's definitely for whatever your passion is a business, and you can like connect with those people, see what they did. I mean, ideally, I feel like you'd want to start your own and work for yourself if that's what you're about. But if you're just kind of like want to join a more corporate structure, then like there's also jobs for that too. So like whatever you're interested in, there's someone that's making a living for doing it, is what I've learned. Whether no matter how small or big it is, and just kind of finding those people and communicating with them is important. Obviously, if you're like a little more, I don't know. I think I obviously am like kind of, I don't know what the right word is, blind or kind of. Anyways, obviously I'm like pretty close-minded to think that like because I don't have a decent size following on Instagram, like people obviously see me more. And like I obviously recognize that, but like I mean, I also started like just sending off these cold messages to like when I had like 300 followers on Instagram. Now that I have like 12, 13,000, like yes, obviously people are going to see my account and see like, oh, this guy has that many people. I wonder why, and like kind of give me more attention. But this all started because I had 500 followers on Instagram and wanted to work at the Armory, and I just like was curious about what it took and like kind of just messaged it away.
And you kind of alluded to the fact that people are the key to entering the industries you want to enter. And although you started your own business, some people may like that corporate structure or might just want to gain the experience and shadow others with similar passions. And during your time in high school, you actually had that chance to shadow under other companies. So what do you believe the benefit is in learning from others about your passion and understanding your limitations at certain periods of your life?
Yeah, I mean, I still hit people up to shadow. Like if I wanna, I've tried to get into like MLB and NBA stuff. I'll hit up the Knicks team photographer and be like, even if I think like sometimes I honestly think my work's way better than theirs, and like their photos aren't that great. I'll be like, not saying that the Knicks and whatever that is the case, but it has happened. But before, but they have a cool job at a cool organization, so I'll say, hey, can I shadow you? Like I don't know anyone else in that field, so I might as well reach out and try and meet someone and be like, hey, would love. And I think a lot of it's just like putting an ego aside. Like I think I do a pretty good job of not having a crazy ego. Like yeah, I make some good work, I think, but guess what? There's people always out there that I can make better work than me, and there's always people you can learn from. So, like, if there's an industry where I don't know much about and I want to get into, like, say, different sport, different field, fashion, lifestyle, fitness, I'll just hit up people and say, hey, would love to shadow you, or once again, just like meet up for coffee and see what you guys are got going on, what you're up to. Like, I'd love to just learn more. And that whole kind of just like putting your ego aside to meet a person can like goes way further than you think, because they might have access and they might also think you're dope, and then it's like, oh sick, let's like, you can actually help us out with this. I think the lack of an ego is like, especially when you're an entrepreneur, self-employed, is a huge thing that can help success.
Yeah, I think just sorry to cut you off before that, but I feel like when you're an entrepreneur, just being in that area where you have to face rejection and just build your business. I think you learn how to be humble, but just learning how to ask people about common interests and just finding common ground, making connections. I think that's super important. So just building on that, Joe, like finally looking back, is there anything you would have done differently in your undergraduate or like even high school?
Not really. Like maybe not gone to college, but like I can't say that because then I would have never lived in New York, or I maybe would have lived in New York City, but not have been like injured and running and wanted to go to the Armory. Like I can say things, but I think everything's turned out for a reason. No, I think everything kind of. I maybe quit the Manhattan College cross country team a little sooner, so I could have gotten a couple of months, but like not really.
I think that's also kind of speaks to your mindset in the sense that you understand this is your journey and it needed those necessary steps to get where you are, and that you can now be future oriented and figure out, okay, what's the next step for me while still enjoying the time that you have right now.
Yeah,
Overall,
I think for sure.
and overall, I think that's an important concept that can be transferable to all fields and to all students. That to understand, your mistakes are necessary, and the things you've done in your past are necessary to be able to find those successes.
For sure. I mean, I think while you're a student, like you're gonna fuck up a couple times. You're gonna fail a test. You're gonna get too drunk and like freshman year, I missed the final completely. Got a C in the class and like was devastated like that week. But like I just like completely put it in the wrong time on my calendar. But like now looking back, like who cares? Like my GPA and I don't even care about. It was like intro to English. Like it doesn't matter. Like and like you can study a lot for a test and try really hard, but at the end of the day, like your test score is like a drop in the bucket. Like your GPA is not going to change that much. You're going to be fine. Like try your best, but like also realize you can. It's fine. Is what I've
So
kind of
writing
picked up.
teachers are not going to be happy after listening to this.
My bad. But I'm also like kind of an anti-school guy, so maybe don't take my advice if you're a very like I love school person. But as an anti-school guy, I'm like kind of like you're paying a lot, so definitely try hard. But like if you need to do something else, you can do something else.
Yeah, and I think that's a good perspective for people to hear, and one that they don't hear enough, especially on campus.
Yeah, like go nerd out, be a nerd, and like I'm a nerd in my own right, just not in necessarily school. But like at the end of the day, like if you don't want to study for a day, not the end of the world.
Yeah,
You'll be fine.
and it's hard sometimes for, I guess, students, including myself, to see kind of the bigger picture on everything, and we take all the little pieces as kind of big events and expand them in our heads when things go wrong. But when things go right, we shrink it down.
For
So
sure.
being able to recognize, and I think this is one of the reasons you're good at maintaining your stress levels as well, is because you keep a level head, both in the highs and the lows. Especially with things like the achievements you've accomplished, the people that you meet, it's just another day on of your job, and that those events will come again. You'll gain those opportunities again. So overall, I just want to thank you, Joe, for coming on. This has been very helpful, I think, for us personally and for everyone listening.
For sure. I mean, if I can give one more parting thing that I was just thinking about, I think it's
of course.
that if you're a current student, like college is just one big stock market. Like you're gonna go, some of your stock's gonna be really high. Oh, sick! I landed an interview, and then guess what? You're gonna fail a test next week, and your stock's gonna plummet. And same for people around you. Like your friend that you think is like a bum might just be like not caring about school and might have some crazy idea. I met this guy this weekend. I was on a project and he dropped out of high school, but now he's like a top fashion consultant for J. Crew and like like writes for GQ and all these brands. Like if you're a current, like it's just one big game of stocks basically. Like some people, their stock's gonna suck in high school, but you just gotta like be nice to everyone, treat people with kindness, and guess what? If his stock shoots to the moon and like you're his homie, guess what? He'll probably take you with him and stuff like that. And like the person who's the starting quarterback at whatever school, I don't want to call it the BU starting quarterback. He's probably a nice guy, but whoever's the starting quarterback of your school, guess what? He might go to the NFL. The stock might go crazy. He might be a bum and live at home for the rest of his life. It's like stuff like that. So you just gotta like keep a level head. I think, be nice to people, and I think generally good things happen to you.
I think it just circles back to the fact that you just have to be humble, and keep working hard every single day. And also, we would not have taken offense for the quarterback joke because we actually do not have a football team.
Oh, okay, there you go then. Neither did Manhattan. I would have
it.
used the Manhattan, but
You can hammer
Manhattan
BU football as much as you want, Joe.
All right, BC football then.
Yeah,
we don't like them.
We don't like them. No, thank you.
So yet again, thanks again, Joe. I mean, you took time out of your schedule to do this. It means a lot.
I don't do that much during the day. This was like the highlight of my day, getting docked.
Awesome.
So it was fun.
Well, I'm glad we could be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
So everyone, this has been episode 14 of STU Street. You can find us on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and soon to come on Amazon Prime. So yeah, see you next Thursday.
Be sure to check out Joe's photography. Joe, we'll put your Instagram in the link below.
Website as well.
Website as well. Yeah.
Sick.
And
Sick,
Joe, if you
guys.
want to shout anything out specifically before we close up.
I got nothing.
JKH Photo, everyone.
Follow
Look
me,
it,
JKH
it's
Photo,
everywhere.
I
It's
guess.
everywhere.
Check it out.
All right.
Thank you so much, Joe.
Yeah, thanks.